Effective immediately, you're terminated. That was the first sentence she ever said to me. No hello, no handshake, no introduction, just that. I sat there staring at the CEO's daughter-in-law standing in my office like she'd been born there. Fresh blowout hair. Designer heels. Brand new company laptop still wrapped in plastic, and somehow she thought she had the authority to fire me. The HR assistant behind her looked terrified. Poor kid was sweating through his collar like he knew a bomb had already gone off and nobody had heard it yet. I slowly closed the financial report on my desk. Reason? I asked calmly. She crossed her arms. We're restructuring leadership. Translation. She wanted my office. I'd spent 22 years building that company from a dying startup into a billion-dollar machine. I knew every investor, every hidden debt, every lawsuit buried under polished PR campaigns, but she looked at me like I was old furniture. You'll need to surrender your badge, she said. I almost smiled, because she had no idea what she'd just done. See, people thought I was just operations. Quiet woman. Background figure. The one fixing problems nobody else could solve, but while everyone chased titles, I chased ownership, and ownership changes everything. I stood up slowly and handed her my badge, then I said the sentence that changed her entire life. I hope your father-in-law enjoys today's board meeting. Her confidence cracked for half a second, just half, but I saw it. Then I walked out while security awkwardly pretended to escort me like I wasn't the person who signed off on their payroll. By the time I reached the parking garage, Clause 17C was already active, and nobody in that building understood yet that the woman they just fired owned the company. By the time I reached my car, my phone was already vibrating. 3 missed calls from legal, 2 from investors, 1 from the founder himself. I ignored every single one. Rain hit the windshield in soft taps while I opened my laptop from the passenger seat. Calmly. Slowly. Like this wasn't the beginning of a corporate apocalypse, because for me, it wasn't. This had been planned years ago. I logged into the shareholder portal using administrator credentials that nobody besides me even knew existed anymore. Then I uploaded the activation packet, Clause 17C, a tiny section buried deep inside the original shareholder agreement. 6 paragraphs most executives never bothered reading because rich people assume power lasts forever. It doesn't, especially borrowed power. The clause was simple: if a non-equity executive terminated a senior corporate officer without formal board approval, all authority transferred immediately back to the majority shareholder pending emergency review, me. The moment she fired me without authorization, she triggered the trap herself. I sent the documents to every board member, investor, and corporate attorney tied to the company. Certified, time-stamped, irreversible. Then I leaned back in my seat and finally answered one call. The founder sounded breathless. What the hell is happening? I stared at the storm outside my windshield. Your daughter-in-law made a decision, I said calmly. She fired the wrong woman. Silence, then breathing, heavy breathing. She didn't know, she didn't ask. Another silence, longer this time. You activated the clause. No, I corrected softly. She did. Across the city, executives were being pulled out of meetings. Legal teams were opening emergency files. Investors were checking ownership percentages they hadn't reviewed in years, and somewhere upstairs in my old office, she was probably posting motivational quotes on LinkedIn. She still thought this was her victory, but the company systems had already started rejecting her credentials. The building simply hadn't told her yet. Most people think power lives in titles: CEO, founder, president. But titles are decorations. Ownership is power, and nobody understood that better than me. 22 years earlier, the company was nothing but folding tables, unpaid invoices, and one arrogant founder with a dream too big for his bank account. Everyone else wanted salaries. I wanted shares. Every crisis became leverage. Every lawsuit became opportunity. Every bailout became another percentage point. When investors panicked during year 3, I stabilized operations and took equity instead of bonuses. When the CFO got divorced and needed cash fast, I bought his shares quietly. When the founder's brother almost destroyed the company in court, I buried the scandal in exchange for ownership transfer agreements. Little by little, the company became mine, not publicly, not loudly, legally. By the 8th year, I controlled 72%, but I stayed invisible on purpose. People underestimate quiet women, especially in corporate America. That was always their mistake. Back at headquarters, the daughter-in-law was finally starting to notice something was wrong. Her executive dashboard wouldn't load. Expense approvals failed, internal communications rejected her permissions, even the finance portal locked her out. At first she blamed IT, then she blamed security settings, then she started panicking, because every system kept showing the same message, authority pending shareholder review. She stormed into legal demanding answers. Nobody looked comfortable. The company attorney adjusted his glasses slowly. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "who authorized the termination this morning?" "I did." The room went silent, and for the first time all day, she looked nervous. The emergency board meeting started at exactly 3 p.m. Nobody spoke while they waited. No coffee, no small talk, just silence thick enough to choke on. The daughter-in-law walked in wearing a cream-colored designer suit and confidence she hadn't earned. She headed straight for the chair at the head of the table. "The seat is reserved." The board chairman said coldly. She froze halfway down. "Reserved for who?" Nobody answered. The company attorney opened a thick folder. "Per Clause 17C, your executive authority has been suspended pending shareholder review." Her face drained instantly. "I'm sorry." "What?" "You were never authorized to terminate a corporate officer independently." "That's ridiculous," she snapped. "I'm Chief Strategy Officer. You are an appointed executive with zero equity ownership." The room stayed painfully quiet. Even her husband wouldn't look at her. She laughed nervously. "This is insane. Who even activated this clause?" The chairman leaned back slowly. "The woman you fired." That answer hit the room like broken glass. She looked around desperately. "But she's not even important anymore," the attorney interrupted gently. "She owns 72% of this company." Complete silence. I wasn't even in the building yet, and somehow I was already controlling the room. That's the thing about real power. It doesn't need to scream. At exactly 3:14 p.m., the boardroom doors opened. Every head turned. I walked inside wearing the same black suit she'd mocked earlier that morning. Nobody smiled. Nobody moved. I walked straight to the head chair she tried to claim, and placed my folder on the table. I didn't sit down immediately. I let the silence work. First. The founder looked exhausted. His daughter-in-law looked terrified. Good. Now they finally understood the difference between authority and ownership. I opened the folder calmly. As majority shareholder, I said, "I'm requesting immediate suspension of all executive appointments made within the last 48 hours. The board chairman nodded instantly. Motion accepted. The founder finally found his voice. "You planned this." I looked directly at him. "No," I said quietly, "I prepared for it." That hurt him more, because deep down, he knew it was true. For years he treated the company like a family kingdom, handing out executive positions to relatives like birthday gifts. But businesses don't survive on feelings, they survive on structure, on contracts, on people willing to protect the foundation while everyone else plays politics upstairs. His daughter-in-law suddenly stood up. "There has to be a misunderstanding." "There isn't," legal replied. "You terminated a senior officer illegally." Clause 17C transferred authority back to the majority shareholder immediately. Her voice cracked. "But she was just operations." The entire room turned toward her slowly, and that was the moment she realized her real mistake. She never learned who built the machine she inherited. I finally sat down at the head of the table, the same chair the founder had occupied for almost 20 years. Funny thing was, it had technically been mine for a long time already. "I have two proposals," I announced calmly. "Either I buy the company entirely and clean house myself." I slid the first folder across the table, "or I remain executive chairwoman and restructure leadership effective immediately." Then I looked directly at the founder. "Choose carefully." Because for the first time in his life, he understood he was no longer the most powerful person in the room. The meeting ended without shouting. That's what made it terrifying. No dramatic arguments, no screaming. Just signatures, silence, and people realizing their careers were hanging by legal threads. The board stepped out to deliberate privately, leaving only me and the founder inside the conference room. For the first time in 20 years, he looked old, not rich old, tired old, the kind of exhaustion money can't fix. He loosened his tie slowly and stared at the city skyline through the glass walls. I trusted her, he muttered. I closed my folder carefully. No, I corrected, you trusted your last name. That one landed hard, his jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. Because he knew exactly what I meant. For years he ignored warnings. Nepotism. Reckless promotions. Family members handed authority they never earned, and every single time, I cleaned up the damage quietly behind the scenes, until now. He sat heavily in the chair across from me. What happens next? I slid 2 documents toward him again, the buyout offer, and the restructuring agreement. His hands shook slightly while reading. You'd really remove my entire executive team? I'd remove liabilities. He looked up sharply. That includes my son? Yes. And her? I almost smiled. She already removed herself. Silence settled between us. Then he whispered something so quietly I barely heard it. I built this company. I met his eyes calmly. No, I said, you started it. That destroyed him more than anger ever could, because deep down he understood the truth. Ideas don't build empires, systems do, structure does. And while he spent decades enjoying the spotlight, I built the wiring hidden inside the walls. Finally, after a long silence, he signed the restructuring agreement. Not because he wanted to, because he had no other choice. The second his pen touched paper, the company officially became mine in public too. The next morning the building felt different, quieter, like everybody already knew history had changed overnight. Employees whispered in elevators. Assistants avoided eye contact, even the security guard stood straighter. At 8:57 a.m., the daughter-in-law arrived carrying a designer handbag and fake confidence held together by caffeine and denial. She scanned her badge at the executive entrance. Red light, access denied. She frowned and tried again. Red, again. Nothing. That's when security approached her carefully, not aggressively, almost sympathetically. Ma'am. The guard said softly, we've been instructed to escort you from the premises. Her face turned pale instantly. There has to be a mistake. The guard stayed professional. I'm sorry. Employees nearby pretended not to watch, but everyone watched. That's the cruel thing about corporate downfall. People always watch. She looked around desperately, probably expecting her husband or father-in-law to appear and save her. Nobody came. Because power disappears fast when it was never truly yours. Slowly, she handed over her company phone, then her office keys, then her badge. The same badge she used to fire me less than 24 hours earlier, poetic, as security. Escorted her through the lobby. She glanced at the massive digital executive display on the wall. Her name was gone, completely erased. In its place, executive chairwoman, appointed by majority shareholder. No photo, no dramatic announcement, just the title, cold, permanent. She stopped walking for half a second, like reality had finally punched through the last layer of denial. Then she lowered her head and walked out of the building without another word. And just like that, the woman who thought she owned the company lasted exactly 1 business day. At 9 a.m. sharp, the new executive meeting began. No motivational speeches. No fake leadership energy, no social media branding. Nonsense, just work, real work. The boardroom now looked completely different. Gone were the founders' relatives and political hires. In their place sat auditors, compliance officers, financial strategists, and investor representatives, people who actually understood how companies survive. I walked to the head chair slowly. This time, nobody questioned it. I sat down. Let's begin, I said. The first 6 hours were brutal. Executive audits, financial reviews, internal investigations, contract restructuring. We uncovered hidden spending, inflated salaries, unauthorized hiring, and enough reckless executive decisions to sink smaller companies entirely. The deeper we dug, the uglier it got. At one point, legal handed me a folder containing expenses approved by the founder's son, luxury retreats, personal travel, a penthouse lease charged to corporate development. I closed the folder carefully. Terminate reimbursement privileges immediately. Nobody argued. That was the biggest difference now. Nobody was performing anymore. There were no egos left in the room. only consequences. Around noon, the IT director walked in carrying a tablet. System access fully restored, he announced. Then he grinned slightly. Admin rights confirmed. A few people laughed nervously. I didn't, because this was never about revenge, it was about stability. You can't build billion-dollar companies like family group chats. Eventually the meeting ended. As everyone packed their files, the board chairman paused beside me. You waited a long time for this. I looked around the room quietly. No, I answered, I worked for it. 3 weeks later, the company stock reached its highest value in 6 years. Investors relaxed, employees stopped panicking, operations stabilized. Funny what happens when competent people run things. The founder officially retired to one of his vacation homes in Arizona. His son quietly disappeared from company communications. And the daughter-in-law, last I heard, she became some kind of motivational business influencer online. Irony really does write itself. Meanwhile, I stayed exactly where I'd always been, inside the structure, inside the systems, inside the foundation nobody noticed until everything almost collapsed. One evening after work, I stood alone in the executive lobby looking at the company wall where framed photos of founders and executives had hung for decades. They finally added my picture, front and center. The receptionist smiled nervously. Looks good up there. I stared at it for a long moment, then laughed softly, because after 22 years, that picture still wasn't the real power. The real power had always been invisible. The contracts, the clauses, the ownership, the preparation. That's what people never understand. Real power isn't loud. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't chase attention online or scream in meetings. Real power is patient, quiet, strategic, and when the moment comes, it doesn't panic, it activates. Before leaving for the night, I stopped by legal, frame clause 17C, I told them. The attorney smirked. Seriously? Yes. Where should we hang it? I looked back toward the executive floor one last time, somewhere future idiots can see it. 6 months later, the company looked nothing like the broken empire she tried to control. The culture changed first. No more fake executives collecting massive salaries because of family connections. No more vision meetings that were really just rich people talking in circles while employees carried the weight downstairs. Now, performance mattered, accountability mattered, structure mattered, and for the first time in years, employees stopped walking around scared, revenue climbed, investor confidence returned, even the media noticed. Business magazines called it one of the most unexpected corporate recoveries in recent history. Funny, because nothing unexpected happened at all, the company simply stopped rewarding arrogance. One Friday evening, I stayed late finishing audit reports when the receptionist buzzed my office. There's someone here asking to see you. Who? A pause. She says you changed her life. I already knew. The daughter-in-law stepped into my office looking completely different from the woman who fired me months earlier. No designer arrogance, no performance, just exhaustion and humility. For a few seconds neither of us spoke. Then she quietly said the words I never expected to hear. I thought power came from titles. I leaned back in my chair, most people do. She looked around the office slowly. I embarrassed myself. No, I corrected calmly, you revealed yourself. That one hit hard, her eyes dropped. I wanted people to respect me. And you tried to force it. Silence. Then finally she asked the question that mattered. How did you become this powerful? I looked toward the massive framed copy of Clause 17C hanging on the wall behind me. I stopped chasing attention, I said quietly, and started building things nobody could take away. She nodded slowly like someone finally understanding a language they'd been pretending to speak for years. Before leaving, she stopped at the door. I'm sorry. This time, I believed her. After she left, I turned off the office lights and looked one last time at the city skyline below. People think empires collapse because of enemies. Most collapse because the wrong people think they deserve control, and sometimes all it takes is one signature to remind everyone who truly owns the building. Life lesson: real power is not loud, it's not expensive suits, fake confidence, family connections, or job titles. Real power is preparation, it's knowledge, ownership, patience, discipline, and building systems nobody notices until everything falls apart. Never underestimate quiet people working behind the scenes. Sometimes the person everyone ignores is the one holding the entire building together. And remember, a title can be given, respect cannot. If this story shocked you, kindly comment and subscribe for more corporate betrayal, revenge, power moves, and billionaire downfall stories inspired by real-world business chaos. Kindly comment below, was the daughter-in-law arrogant or just inexperienced? Would you have forgiven her? And what would you do if someone tried to fire you from your own company?